What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So with the Green Bay Packers training camp exactly 2 weeks away, in today's video, I wanted to go over the biggest training camp battles to watch out for. This year, more than ever, young talent will be fighting for starting spots on this football team. This football team is super young, and there are plenty of position groups on offense and defense that are big question marks right now. And all of this will be uncovered during training camp and preseason. And since we're on the subject of training camp, if you guys are a new viewer to this channel and aren't subscribed yet, I'll be posting a ton of content every single day during training camp, the highlights and also the recap, as well as any other news that happens during training camp. I am super excited for it. So if you guys are a new viewer, I'd really appreciate it if you went down and click the subscribe button. It supports my channel a ton, helps me with the whole YouTube algorithm, as well as leave a like on this video. So in today's video, we're going to dive down into the most important camp battles for the Green Bay Packers in 2023. But first, let's talk about today's video sponsor, Manscaped. Cannonballs. This summer, it's not about the size of those cannonballs, it's about making a splash with our friends at Manscaped. Prep for your barbecue season by making sure your grill master has the hottest dogs this summer's ever seen. When you're at the cookout this summer, let your meat speak for itself with Manscaped's Performance Package 4.0. It's time to get ready, not sweaty, by heading to manscaped.com and using my code BASS20 to get 20% off, as well as free shipping off your entire order. The Manscaped Performance Package 4.0 has everything you need to guarantee you'll have the most mouthwatering treats at the party. They have built the ultimate bundle for your summer grooming. Their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. Manscaped also has their new beard hedger on their website now, and honestly, this is my favorite beard trimmer I've used my entire adult life to keep myself looking trimmed up throughout the entire summer. The beard hedger has 20 different length settings, a titanium coated T-blade, 60-minute runtime, it's waterproof and durable, and has a precision zoom wheel adjustment. So if you want your beard looking great this summer, head over to Manscaped and check out their Beard Hedger Pro Kit, which includes, of course, the beard hedger, beard shampoo, beard conditioner, beard oil, beard balm, and a travel bag. I use at least one of these items every single day and definitely notice my beard looking a lot better. And for everything below the beard, Manscaped has their Performance Package 4.0, including their lawnmower, weed whacker, and they also threw in 2 free gifts, the Manscaped Boxers and Shed Travel Bag. So get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com using my code BASS20. That's 20% off your entire order plus free shipping with the code BASS20. Manscaped, the perfect way to get your patties sizzling hot this summer. All right, so now let's get into the camp battles. Now, these are going to be in order of importance, in my opinion. So let's start with number 1, and that is going to be at the right tackle / center position. Now, I'm listing both right tackle and center because Zach Tom could very well compete for either of these spots. There's a competition between him and Josh Nijman at right tackle, and there's also a competition at center between Zach Tom and Josh Myers. The rest of the Green Bay Packers offensive line, in my opinion, is already locked in. We know David Bakhtiari is going to be the starting left tackle. We know Elton Jenkins is going to be the starting left guard, and we know John Runyon Jr. is going to be the starting right guard. Where it differs is we have 3 other remaining guys that all have stake to start on this offensive line. Josh Myers at center, Josh Nijman at right tackle, Zach Tom at pretty much any position. And when you're building an offensive line to protect your quarterback, your main thing is getting your best 5 guys out there. And a lot of people, myself included, would 100% say that Zach Tom is one of the best 5. Tom was the number 1 graded rookie offensive lineman last year via PFF in pass blocking, and also 7th in overall grade. Tom literally played every single position besides center for the Green Bay Packers last year. The dude has a ton of versatility, and you might be wondering, well, then why do you have him competing at center with Josh Myers? Well, Zach Tom also played over 1,100 snaps at center for Wake Forest. So, like I said, this guy can literally play anywhere on the offensive line. He has the extreme versatility, just like Elton Jenkins. This guy, in my opinion, is going to become the next Elton Jenkins on the offensive line. And to think that we could have 2 of these guys, I think is just unreal. During OTAs and minicamp, Zach Tom has already been swapping snaps with the ones at right tackle with Josh Nijman. They were kind of doing it every other day. So one day it was Zach Tom, the next day it was Josh Nijman. They were switching on and off with the ones at right tackle. And he was also taking snaps with the 2s at center when Josh was starting at right tackle. So they were basically just seeing, hey, where can we get Zach Tom on the field? So At this point, I do think Zach Tom will start on the offensive line starting 2023. It's just a question of, will it be replacing Josh Myers at center, or will it be at right tackle over Yosh Nijman? Yosh Nijman had a pretty decent year in 2022. The Packers did have to move him around a bit, both at left tackle and right tackle due to the injuries and whatnot, and he surely does also have a claim to start for 2023. If the Packers believe that Yosh needs to be on the offensive line, that's going to be at right tackle. Then that means Zach Tom could very well take the job from Josh Myers at center, who was the 27th overall graded center last year over the entire NFL. The Green Bay Packers have to protect Jordan Love in his first year as starting quarterback, and the way in doing so is getting your 5 best offensive line out there. The number 2 biggest camp battle for the Packers training camp in 2023 I have as the edge rusher position. With Rashawn Gary likely starting the year on PUP and likely not practicing at all during training camp, there is a big hole to fill opposite Preston Smith at that edge position. And there are a handful of players with equal opportunity to fill that hole. First, we have Kingsley Enagbare, who had a very solid rookie campaign as a 5th rounder. I thought he was a steal in last year's draft. A lot of websites had him as a 2nd or 3rd round draft selection. He fell all the way to the 5th, where the Packers selected him, and he produced in year 1 as that 5th rounder. He was 5th in the team in total pressures with 25, and also 5th for the team in sacks with 3. Then there's also veteran Justin Hollins, who was a street free agent the Packers signed during last season in November. Then they re-signed him this March to another 1-year deal, so it's very clear the Packers like him and want to keep him around. And Hollins slotted right in at starting edge opposite Preston Smith with Kingsley Enagbare. They kind of shared snaps there, and I thought he played pretty well. I know there are a lot of people in my comments that don't like Justin Hollins, but the stats are the stats. He did play pretty well. He had just as many sacks as Kingsley Enagbare in 1/3 of the snaps, and he also was the best run defending grade edge player besides Rashawn Gary, who didn't play most of the season. And his veteran presence may be the route the Packers want to go at the edge position opposite Preston. And then the third player is Packers rookie Lucas Van Ness, their 1st round draft selection at pick 13 in this last draft, part of that Aaron Rodgers trade. Lucas Van Ness will be watched for future years to come because he's tied to that Aaron Rodgers trade with that pick 15 and 13 swap. Now, Lucas Van Ness is pretty raw, but he also shows really great potential and athleticism. Van Ness played just 2 years at Iowa, but he did total 68 pressures and 11 sacks, and he also was top 20 in run defense for all edge players last year. Now, my best guess is that either Hollins or Enagbare will be the starter week 1 opposite Preston Smith. But all 4 of these guys will get snaps at edge regardless, as the edge position is a heavy rotation type of position. Rotation guys sometimes getting upwards of 40% of snaps in a game. Starting edge players never see 100% of snaps for the Green Bay Packers like a defensive back or an inside linebacker would. So even if Lucas Van Ness or Kingsley Enagbare or Justin Hollins aren't the starter to start week 1 in 2023, they will still see significant snaps even in week 1. And speaking of Van Ness, I actually just released a tape breakdown video on him this week. So if you haven't seen that video and you want to go check out his tape from last year at college and kind of what type of player he is and what he'll bring to the Packers defense when he does get some snaps, click the link right above and go watch that video. One of the main things you have to do on defense is pressure the quarterback. When you can pressure the quarterback, it makes your secondary a lot better. So it'll be super important for the Packers to get the right edge guys out there in the right situations. And that all starts with this training camp, seeing which guys deserve to start and get the most snaps. For the number 3 camp battle for this year's training camp, I have tight end. This is another position that we really don't know who the number 1 guy is right now. And there are 3 candidates. First, we have Josiah DeGuara, who will be entering his 3rd year in the system. And then we also have 2 rookies, Luke Musgrave, who they drafted with their first second-round selection, and then also Tucker Kraft, who they drafted with their 3rd-round selection. This is a huge turnaround at the tight end position for the Packers this year, and this is exactly what I wanted them to do. I wanted them to completely redo the tight end room and invest in it, and that's exactly what they did. After losing Robert Tonyan and Mercedes Lewis, they spent a lot of draft capital. We're talking a second and third rounder, pretty much back to back. I know Jayden Reed was in the middle of them because they had 2 second-round picks, but back-to-back rounds they spent on tight end, which I wanted them to do because this tight end class and this draft class was super deep. So, you know, getting a guy in the third round like Tucker Kraft, in other years he could have been an early second-round player. So far, the 2 guys starting with the ones during OTAs and minicamp were both Josiah DeGuara and Luke Musgrave, mainly DeGuara, but both of those guys got snaps with the ones. But how the Green Bay Packers use their tight ends is going to be important as well. All 3 of these guys could have differing roles at the tight end position. Musgrave as the move wide receiver type of tight end that they can split out wide, put in the slot, and basically use as a mismatch type of wide receiver / tight end. Josiah DeGuara at that H-back role where they've been using in the last couple of years. I believe he can do more than that, but that's just where the Packers have been using him. And Tucker Kraft as that inline blocking type of tight end, the Mercedes Lewis of the last 2 years. They could definitely use him as that. He is surely the best blocking tight end the Packers have, and that's even without playing an NFL snap. He was just a super good blocker in college. And the Packers could also use a lot of 12 personnel and have 2 tight ends on the field, and that could be, you know, Musgrave and DeGuara, or Musgrave and Kraft, or Kraft and DeGuara. So the Packers could roll out a lot of 12 personnel and basically have 2 starting tight ends. But regardless, watching this new tight end room go to work during camp, I think will be super intriguing. During OTAs and minicamp, we saw a lot of Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft, but that was without the pads on, and Musgrave looked super fast. But we have to see if that translates when the pads come on and he's actually going against a full 100% defense and then also into preseason. But like I said, regardless, I'm super excited to watch all of these tight ends go to work and how that offense will shape out, because tight end is such an important position, especially for a first-year quarterback. They can be their safety blanket in times of need, and Musgrave could be a very big target up the middle of the field as a deep threat, a mismatch guy for Jordan Love. For the number 4 camp battle, I have the wide receiver number 4 position. Now, I chose wide receiver 4 instead of wide receiver 3 because I believe wide receiver 3 will be Jayden Reed. I know we still have all of camp and a lot can change, but I fully believe that Reed will be that third guy and will be the main slot guy. Not saying he will only play slot, because the guy played 50% outside, 50% slot in college, and he can do a lot of different things, but I think when it's all said and done, he will take the majority of his snaps at slot and will have the majority of snaps at slot for the Packers offense as a whole. Now, if that's the case, that will leave a big battle at the wide receiver 4 spot between about 3 guys. First of which, 5th round draft selection from this year out of Virginia, Tay Wicks being one of them, a pure outside wide receiver who shows great ball skills and physicality. Then there's also second-year player Samori Toure, who was last year's 7th round wide receiver, who has been improving. Wide receiver coach Jason Vrabel has continuously raved about him, saying he gained 8 pounds this offseason and looks unbelievable. I'm a huge Samori Toure guy. I loved him last year out of Nebraska. His tape really wowed me. And even as a 7th rounder last year, he still saw 112 offensive snaps. And even though I said I do believe Jayden Reed will be the main slot guy, ideally Toure could compete at that spot as well. The third guy to compete for that number 4 spot had an amazing OTA and minicamp, and that guy is undrafted free agent out of Ole Miss, Malik Heath. A player that doesn't have a crazy RAS, isn't crazy athletic, or have insane college stats, but has been showing out so far during OTAs and minicamp. Matt LaFleur has been using him in the slot, which I thought was pretty interesting because he's only played 2.5% of his snaps in his entire college career at slot. He's been, you know, primarily an outside guy. But Matt LaFleur does like his bigger frame slot guys, you know, guys going out there and playing big slot essentially. And he is a bigger frame wide receiver at 6'2", 213 pounds. Now, if he does stay hot during training camp and produces in the preseason, he very well could compete for that number 4 spot. But like I said, with Musgrave and all the other tight ends, we have to wait to see when the pads come on. It feels like every year we have one of these guys at wide receiver, whether it's Juwan Winfrey or Reggie Bagleton. There's always a guy that when the pads are off, he's wowing everybody, and then the pads come on, and then into preseason, they either do nothing or end up getting hurt. Also, let me know if you want to see a college tape video breakdown on Malik Heath. I did all three of the Packers drafted wide receivers tape breakdowns, but I would definitely do a Malik Heath one. Let me know down in the comments below if that's something you guys would want to see. I love watching the wide receiver battles every year, and this year is no different. It's a super interesting, super young wide receiver room, likely the youngest room they've had in a very long time. The oldest wide receiver is surprisingly Samori Toure, who will likely make the 53. I think Jeff Cotton is 26. Samori Toure is the next oldest at 25, but I don't see Jeff Cotton making the roster. So essentially, the oldest wide receiver that's going to make the roster will be like 25 years old, which is a super, super young room. Like I said, someone fact check me, but I don't know the last time this wide receiver room has been this young. And I'm just super excited to watch these guys go to work. The final and number 5 biggest camp battle for the Packers training camp in 2023, I have at the running back number 3 spot. This battle has been going on for the last couple of years, with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon basically locked in at the number 1 and number 2 running back spot, and the Packers usually keeping 3 running backs on their 53-man roster. There's always a fun camp battle at this spot. And this year, there are 3 candidates to battle that out for that running back 3 spot. Third-year player Patrick Taylor, second-year player Tyler Goodson, and 7th-round rookie from this year's draft, Lou Nichols out of Central Michigan. Now, Patrick Taylor has won the job the last 2 seasons, appeared in 14 games last year, and was a big contributor on special teams. Actually was the 4th highest graded special team player on the Packers with a 76.2, and that's likely why he has the edge to win this spot yet again. The Packers are clearly prioritizing special teams, starting last year with the hiring of Rich Bisaccia, and really just adding a lot of quality special teams players to their roster. So both Goodson and Lou Nichols need to show up on special teams to earn that running back 3 spot. It's not all about what they could do on offense, because you're likely not going to see that running back 3 on offense that too often unless an injury happens. But in terms of potential on offense, I believe Tyler Goodson offers the most, in my opinion. Super athletic, super versatile, basically a wide receiver, super agile and quick runner. I really loved Tyler Goodson last year as an undrafted free agent, and I love him a lot this year to make the roster, but he will have to show up on special teams. Then also Lou Nichols offer a lot that the Packers like, and it's why they drafted him in the 7th round. He's a hard runner, a good receiving option, has pass protection experience, and speaking of experience, has a lot of it. Nearly 3,000 rushing yards in his college career. Running back 3 is certainly an interesting battle to keep your eye on. Although it might not be crazy important, it's still a really fun one to watch. So I also have an honorable mention. Those were my top 5, but I do have an honorable mention, and that is the safety position. It seems very clear that Rudy Ford and Darnell Savage are the starting safeties. They started there with the ones the entirety of OTAs and minicamp, and I believe that will remain the same through training camp and preseason into week 1. But the rotational depth at safety will certainly be a camp battle between new free agents John Owens and Tarvarius Moore, who the Packers signed this offseason. Also Ennis Gaines, Donald Levitt, undrafted free agent Benny Sapp, and also 7th round rookie Anthony Johnson Jr., who I really like, and I released a tape video on him about a week ago, so go watch that. Click the link right above, what he could bring to the Packers defense. I really like him at that safety spot. But having quality safety play is super important. The Packers defense lacked quality safety play last year. For Adrian Amos and Darnell Savage, it was a really poor season last year, and that could be attributed to how the defenses ran under Joe Barry and other things as well. But it's a big reason why the defense struggled. So having not only good starting safeties, but a good rotational depth if the Packers want to run different sub packages is super important. So the camp battle at depth safety will be important to watch as well. But those are all the main camp battles that you should watch out for this upcoming 2023 Green Bay Packers training camp. Let me know down in the comments below which one you are most excited for. And if I left one off this list that you think is also very important, let me know down below as well. But that about does it for this video. I appreciate everyone watching. If you could please leave a like if you enjoyed this video, I appreciate it a ton. I'll catch you on the next one, and as always, go Packers.